Okay, hey everybody, this is Grace, and I just left a buffet. It's somewhere around 3, I think. I'm not sure. I just backed up and it's still showing. No, there it goes, 3:18. And I just now finished lunch at that buffet. It wasn't meant to be that way at all. Nope, not at all. But thanks to Adam, what are they videoing over there, I wonder? You can't see it, could you? Nope, you couldn't see it. But, it was a horrible, not horrible, I don't want to exaggerate, because I'm a mild-mannered person, okay? And I'm not histrionic. I don't like to blow things out of proportion. But in my life, things go wrong like you wouldn't believe. A lot of things just go wrong. And I made a video, and while I was making this video, after I left the house, it had been a morning of already things going wrong, one after another. And then once I get on the road, I'm making a video, and it's showing these things happening. And like I said in the video, you can't make this stuff up. And it was right there. It was obvious. Things were going wrong for me. I had no control over, like the way people drive or stuff like that. I had no control over any of that, and or just the way like the road suddenly ended, or when did they change this? They changed the whole road, the whole of it. So what a day, let me tell you. So I just got finished eating, and I was glad that I had I've always had my camera with me, but I was glad that I did, because I had to vent. Seriously, this is what I use my channels for. This month is 11 years that I've been making videos on YouTube. My original channel was 11 years this month. So, okay, but I have had others' channels since then. I still use them, but I'm not one of those who is monetized. So anyway, I think this might be a little bit too busy. I need to go in there anyway. I was a little winded today. After today, though, it's going to get hot again. This is north of Dallas, Plano, Texas. This is the biggest Dollar Tree in Texas. Notice I said that, in Texas. Nobody needs to tell me, but they have bigger ones elsewhere. Somebody has before. I'm going to park here, even though there's one over there. I'm going to park here, so I can park this way like that. I have plenty of room, or maybe not. That person parked really, really close. So let me try this again. That's a big old truck over there, and they're parked really, really close. Let's see. So I can get out and with ease. Anyway. There we go. They had their whole bumper on this side. Looks like it's been torn off. I wonder why. Like that, where you're in somebody else's lane. But anyway, okay, I'm still waiting to go in there. I was trying to find a straw or something in my SUV, but nope. Nope. So, but anyway, today was just this day, and part of it was because like this. I had stayed up I don't know, I think I woke up in the middle of the night or something like that and didn't go back to sleep until later. And then Adam got up and told me I was in the front part of the house asleep in a room up there that I have a TV in, the bed and all this. And he came up there and he told me that he was going to the dentist. Well, he didn't tell me anything about that. And it was the whole big old thing for him. So he went to the dentist. But then I got up and he called and he was talking to me from the dentist's office, what they were going to do and all this stuff. I'm still wondering, he just had oral surgery like a week ago or something, and removed his one of his first time having extraction, and it was a wisdom tooth, and they did some kind of graft, and all this stuff, a rip off, in other words, and because he didn't need it on a wisdom tooth, really. They didn't tell him that, and they charged him more than is usual. Anyway, he was by himself. Yeah. Anyway, so today he did that, and then I called him. He called me, and I said, "Yeah, I want to go take a shower." He said, "No, wait until I'm home. I'm gonna be home." This was this morning, and because I had this shortness of breath. What he didn't tell me was, he had sprayed some stuff in the shower, and that's what I do, is take a shower, and it still smelled. They could have told me that I could have gone and washed it all out and everything before I had to go shower, because I smell things. I mean, anything. I pick up the odor, and I have chemical allergies. Okay, so that's going to set that off. It was just one thing. And the whole thing, I did it short, make it really short, is that my bad day pretty much for a good part of it revolved around things that he was doing and needing and all this stuff, like including at one point he told me, I'm saying, okay, by myself, I need to go eat. It was like 1 o'clock or somewhere around there, and I mean, it was before then. I'd taken my insulin and my pill, knowing that I was going to go eat, but just in case, I took a Little Debbie's, the Little Debbie donuts, little ones. Took one of those just in case, and that's for me. I'm not saying anybody else, but because I took my insulin, and sure enough, I need it because I'm on the road and I'm going that direction. And all of a sudden, he calls. He says, "Well, I told the dentist." He didn't talk like me. He said, "I told the dentist that." The nurse, I guess. He kept calling it a dentist, a doctor, and they had sent him from one place to another place, from a regular dentist to an orthodontist or whatever does the oral surgery, what they used to call. Anyway, it's a big old thing for him. And he said that he was going to have a painkiller, and he needed me there because they won't let him do that. Not a painkiller, but anesthesia, unless he has somebody there. So I had to turn around and go, and had to stop, wait, write down the address because I was on the phone that you use for GPS. And just one thing after another like that. And it was all because of him. Okay, and I'm quite frustrated with this, because a lifetime of this, and it's not letting up. He's retired. Okay, and yes, I had said in that video, said I knew somebody or something that happened when I was younger. Somebody wished they hadn't said something negative or had negative feelings because that person passed away. They had negative feelings toward, and so they say, don't ever say anything, even when you're angry, if you're going to be part, like you're going somewhere and they're going somewhere else. Don't ever do that, that kind of thing. And you remember stuff like that. Haven't we all seen it on TV too? But anyway, I didn't want to say that because he's got so bad what's going on with him. From what little, I could try to make sense of what he was saying when he would call me. Is it his 2 front teeth or something? And then at one point they were saying they're going to pull them both, and another, they said they weren't. And that's where he had an implant, and also had crowns or something. And they had been warning him, he shouldn't be smoking, and he's doing it anyway. And he was calling me at one point telling me, they said to make sure that there's no smoke in the house. I'm like, dude, I don't smoke. And yeah, he was trying to put it off on me. They don't know me, of course, but still, he needs to take responsibility for what he does. He's older than I. He should not be smoking at all. And he even told me, oh, you quit. I quit. However many years, 3, 4, I don't know anymore. I didn't write down the date. End of August, early September of what year? 22 or 23? No, it was 22. Yeah, 22. And, you know, I had to take responsibility for myself. He said, if you do it, I'll quit too. And no, he never did. He didn't even slow down. In fact, he started smoking more. And the reason why the dentist told him that, the dentist said, because you've already smoked a whole pack today, haven't you? Okay, he said he must have smelled something. Well, it's you smoking. That's what it's called. It's you smoking. That's what he smelled. Now, his smell like smoke, his clothes, probably saturated with it. And I thought some woman walked up beside me, and I don't know if she's sitting in there or what happened to her. But anyway, yeah, you know, it was just, and then, okay, instead of me, okay, so I told okay, let me get this straight. Okay, go back to when he's calling me, telling me that they needed me there before they could give him that anesthesia. Well, the nurse was standing there, and she said, well, I need to ask the doctor. He said, well, she's going to ask the doctor. Okay, they left. Woman, don't hit me. And so I said, well, I'll be headed that way, you know. But I sat there in that parking lot a little bit. Nothing happened. So I said, okay, you know, he didn't call me. She probably asked the, you know, dentist by now. And it's up the road. It was in a different direction than when I was going to go to have buffet. I prefer buffet because every other meal, if I get a meal out, they're going to have loads of carbs on it. I can't eat carbs. You know, like the bad for me carbs. Because I'm diabetic and on and on and on. I had that heart failure. So I like to go to buffet. It costs about the same. But then I can pick and choose what, and I do, what I eat. It's not carb free, but it's not like that. And, but no, I have to go there. Okay, and I get there, and he told me the wrong side of the road. He said it was on the southwest. It was not. Well, the directions told me where it is, and it was not. Not my first rodeo. You know, it's not a perfect thing. But it was just like, so I called him, and he was laughing. He said, oh, they're killing me. I'm being tortured. And he said they went ahead and did it without the anesthesia. And I was saying, look, I'm right here, you know. But no, he was talking over me and all this stuff, and said, I don't care where you are. And the nurse started laughing, and I was livid. He could have said, when they told him they were going to go ahead and do it, he could say, okay, hold on, I got to call her and let her know so she doesn't come out here. No, he doesn't do that. Known him over 40, you know, known him around 45 years. He won't do that, something like that. You know, he won't. Doesn't matter, because he has such a high opinion of dentists and doctors. He won't pause them and say, hold on, I need to, you know, call, or I need to do something else first. You know, that's like something like that. That's important to call the person and say, hey, don't come out. So I was livid. For me, livid, because I'm so mild-mannered, it's just like, other people say, really? That you call that? Upset. When do you ever get really angry, you know? I don't think that I really do much. Really, I don't. So, you know, I might be furious in my mind, but my fury is so weak. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so I went into that Dollar Tree, and it's, like I said, the biggest Dollar Tree in Texas. And I know there's other ones elsewhere. This is the biggest one in Texas. I verified that before. Anyway, you know, I had that heart failure. The cardiologist there, the ER, says just a warning. It's a big term for it, but it's, well, he said a big word. He says just a warning. You know, that I had to straighten up my life or whatever. I'm still trying to wait and find out from. I've seen 2 cardiologists so far. I have one tomorrow, another one tomorrow. Let's see if any of them say anything other than, we got to run more tests. I got gotta run more tests. Every field that I have seen so far, and it's been several, I gotta run more tests. More tests. Well, like I asked the last one, which was not cardio, I said, well, when am I going to get results from all the tests you've already ran? The appointment was scheduled for, my goodness, how long later? They're always going to be long. Always going to be long time. It's never going to be that day, that week. It was 5 months for the first visit with him. The one that I asked, and he said, oh, it won't be that long the next time. Hey, it's that long. It was 4 months, 3 or 4 months it's going to be for my PCP. Okay, so I don't trust him. And like the other cardio before this one I go to tomorrow, he said, tell him, twice, 2 different visits. He said, just schedule it for a couple of months from now. I get in and they say, it's going to be at least 4 months. People who schedule it, so smart, Alex, so mean, both times. So, well, he just now told me in 2 months he wants to see me again. So I don't know what you want to do. They get all smart, even more smart, Alex. Really, what world am I living in, seriously? I'm a peaceful person. I don't like this stuff. All this drama that people bring up, all this attitude problems, and like that person could say, well, you're the one with the attitude problem because this is what we're telling you. They could say that. I could say what I did say. I just now saw him, and he said to make it for 2 months. Okay, and I don't even say it that strong that you just heard, but that is what he said. He is the doctor. They are not. They don't make decisions for the doctor. I used to work as an interim office manager for surgeons. And no, you don't make decisions for the doctor. And you're putting their business at jeopardy. Their lives, their livelihood, their business, everything in jeopardy. No, these are people who think that they elevated themselves up to the level of doctor because they work for one. No, you don't make decisions for the doctor, period. Things need to go back to where there are rules, People listen and they abide by them, and they don't get an attitude problem because they think that they're superior. They're not superior to the patient. That's not the social contract at all. At all. Period. Full stop. Now, I don't believe in that we're all equal. Every human has their strengths and weaknesses, and we're all equal. So what I'm pointing out is they're saying that they are superior. No, you're not. You are not superior. And they can't handle it. They get angry. I get so sick of seeing go into doctor's offices, different specialties, and seeing this kind of problem over my lifetime. I'm 62 years old. I remember it as a child seeing it. Okay? Look how far this woman is between her and the car in front of her. I mean, seriously, what are you doing? TikToking, like Adam says. He'll always say, she's probably TikToking. And that makes no sense. Why she's that far back? Yes, when was it? Day before yesterday, yeah. Day before yesterday, whenever it was, Adam and I were out, and there was a woman like this, real far from the one in front of them, and there was a long light. Come on now, go. What the crap? Everybody's going to miss the light because of you? Really? Wow, just some people. Somebody needs to take our driver's license away from them. But anyway, I'm being mean today. Am I not? Yes, I am. So I'll try. I'm trying to vent it out. I don't take my problems in person on anybody. She'd never. I don't even know what she looks like. can just see her hair. Anyway. But today has been a day for me. Seriously. You know, was Adam. Adam brings chaos. You know, he brings chaos. He, his family, my family. Now, I'm not saying everybody, but and not everybody in my life. But in order to get away from these people, seriously, in order, you know, at 62 years old, in order to get away from the people who are just so histrionic. You know, some of them were actually diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, which is pretty bad. All of them, they throw fits of rage and all that. And, but all of them, really, the ones who have been diagnosed and the ones who just have, remind me of them. The thing that sticks out the most is how they are so kind of like, their behaviors are so histrionic. It's look at me, you know, they got to look at, everybody has to be looking at them. Everybody has to be paying attention, whether it's good attention or bad attention. They want the attention because they can always say, and they often do, play the victim whenever they're being loud and obnoxious, like in a restaurant or something, because they want everybody to look at them. And people start complaining, and they'll look over there and they'll say, oh, they're haters. Oh, you know, crocodile tears. They play the victim and cry, but they also do the crocodile tears. On and on. And this is, in order to get away from those people, quite often they have themselves attached to the good people, a good, decent person. And to befriend that good, decent person, good luck. This is my experience. I'm not saying everybody else's would be the same, but they're just overwhelmed, because these are people like Adam. Adam told me himself, back when his sister was visiting, the first time I met her, she was such a bitch. Pardon me, but that is exactly how I see her. And I never want to see her ever again in my life. She's a horrible, horrible person. In fact, I've actually thought of her as being quite psycho. And, yeah, she's pretty bad. It's a horrible experience it was. It took me a long time to get over it. A long time to get over. To where this is all I'm saying. But she's horrible. But he told me during that time, he said that he thinks he's the histrionic in their family. I said, oh, is that what they're calling it these days? That was a joke between us from decades ago. Oh, is that what they're calling it these days? But an inside joke kind of thing. But yeah, more and more I'm starting to believe him. Known him 40-something years, but I've always known that he is definitely part of that family. They all have some, you know, not all of them, but I don't remember even thinking about it when I met some of the other ones decades ago. They are, they're from, Adam's from a country, they all are, from a country across the globe. So, you know, I didn't grow up anywhere near them. And it's a totally different ethnic group, different cultures, all that. Okay, everybody that I'm seeing right now, they look like they're going to want to jet out from these roads. There's a lot of traffic. I don't know where y'all going. Who do you think you're going to get in front of? I don't think so. Anyway, just talking about them, about what they do, it's so dramatic that it makes the person, like me, who's talking about it, seem dramatic. But it's because they bring so much chaos. You know, just everything is chaotic. And Adam and I are two different types of people, very different. You know, very. He and I married when I was 18. Like I said, I keep saying I'm 62. And just very different people. I play by the rules, he doesn't. He believes all rules are made to be broken. He believes, he is the type to believe that speed limits are just suggestions, and he really seriously does think that, you know, that way. And he just thinks everything's just a suggestion. Anything. And he causes chaos because he won't abide by the rules. None of, it's a family, it's a familial family thing for him. Because the more and more I know of his family, the more and more I see it. They think they're superior to all beings, and that no rules are made for them. None of these do they have to abide by. No. And it causes, like I said, too much chaos. And today was one of those. Because if Adam would listen to the dentist and the doctors and all these people, he wouldn't have had to go through what he went through today. Period. Okay? Period. He needs to quit smoking, but no, he knows better. He is older than I am. And his problems are worse than mine. Really. He's not going to listen. He never has had to listen. Nobody made him ever listen. There is no making him listen. He just won't do it. The words go through his, in and out from one ear through the other, non-stop. Nope. Then he did this lame thing like today. Called me from the dentist's office and saying, you need to make sure that we have no smoking in our home. I said, I don't smoke. I think I already mentioned this. I did in the other one. I don't smoke. I've mentioned this. But it's a lame thing. He's finding somebody to blame it on. So lame. And my whole day today has just been ruined. And I'm serious when I say it's a big part of it is him. I just should not have answered the phone. But see, I'm a responsible person, and you don't do that to somebody else at all. Okay, I'm not going to become what I hate, and that kind of behavior is what I hate. When if it were to happen to me, if I were to be like that and he wouldn't answer, that would be wrong. So I'm not saying he would do that or not do that, because I don't think he has, but you see what I'm saying. Some people say, well, you just shouldn't have answered, let him deal with it, because there is Uber. I didn't need to stop all that I was doing just to, for him, because he was afraid there was going to be pain involved. Well, yeah, you go to the dentist and you're going to have teeth extracted. It's going to hurt. Because from the last bit that I got from all this was that, and I could be totally wrong, they were going to pull 2 teeth and make him a partial, and there's some other word they use for it now, the partial, between the partial. I don't know, I'm using mine. I have my partial, but I'm using the thing that was between the partial that they made for me and sold me for $60. It's much better than the partial. Partial is like there's a whole bunch of stuff in my mouth that's heavy, and it was not that great. I like this fake partial. It looks just like regular partial. So I don't know what they're doing now. Maybe people caught on that, hey, you can make this thing and you're selling it for $60 and it works just as great as a partial would. So instead of having us wait for all that, you can just make these and people can use them and no big deal. But no, you want to make that money? I'm so cynical these days because I've seen so much. I've seen quite a bit. More tests. We need more tests. And it used to be, well, they're not making any money off these tests because they couldn't even charge you for follow-up back then. But one of my sisters, she's a medical billing manager, specialist, auditor, what all these things that she is. She's been doing for many years. And I had asked her about it. She said they're not supposed to, but they've been getting away with it since 2020. And yeah, they're getting away with it for charging for follow-up visits. So Cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. Let's just run more tests and never diagnose. Don't diagnose. Nope. We can run more tests if we don't. We don't have our signature on anything. We can't be sued for malpractice if we don't know what we're talking about. If we didn't run the right test, we can run some more. I'm serious. I cannot believe this. Everything. 2 years now. Actually, it just started in 2023, and the first experience like that was she was a nurse practitioner, and she ran around $800 worth of tests, blood tests, not anything else, but blood tests. I canceled my insurance. I was so disgusted. That wasn't the only experience. That was the only time I saw somebody. The experiences before that just, had totally turned me off to it. This is what happens when you have health insurance. Tests. I'm gonna make money. Yep, the whole attitude. They're gonna make more money by having more visits. It's such a shame. Wrapping it up.